Good evening, and welcome to the Dreary Midnight Podcast. My name is Lisa, my pronouns are she, they.
My name is Celeste, my pronouns are she, her.
And this is set to release the day after Christmas, so for those of you who celebrate, Merry Christmas to y'all.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Happy Tuesday. And what are we talking about tonight, Celeste?
Tonight we are talking about Krampus.
Ooh. Let's get into it. Intro music.
Intro music. Okay. I'm sure you know everything there is to know about Krampus.
So, thing is, I know he exists, I just don't know too much beyond that.
Okay.
Which is kind of wild given the kind of jobs that you and I have.
Yeah. I would think that
yeah.
this would be like kind of a moot point for you.
Yeah. But anyway, I am excited to learn.
Krampus is becoming a very popular name in the Christmas winter sphere, especially for people like us who are into spooky things.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know, Krampus is a Central European legend. So think Germany, Austria, and other Alpine cultures. Okay? So Krampus is a half goat, half demon who punishes children at Christmas time. So since this is set to release after Christmas, all of the listeners have thankfully survived
hopefully.
Krampus.
And if not, let us know, and we are very sorry for your loss.
So the name Krampus actually comes from the German word Krampen, which means claw.
Okay.
Which kind of is an indicator of what this guy looks like. He's a companion to Saint Nicholas. So Saint Nick, he rewards good children with gifts and treats like oranges, dried fruit, walnuts, chocolate, cute little things like that. Meanwhile, Krampus is his counterpart who punishes misbehaving children. So according to the German tradition, Saint Nicholas comes on December 6th, actually, and Krampus comes on December 5th, which is Krampusnacht, which is Krampus night. So he comes by along with Saint Nicholas, which I think we all know kind of how Saint Nick looks. Very regal looking, beard, lots of cozy robes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about Santa Saint Nick, like the Coca-Cola invention, or Saint Nicholas, the guy from Turkey with a long beard and long robes?
We're talking like a middle ground.
Okay. Yeah.
Where long beards and long robes. Then there's Krampus.
Okay. Who
So
I suppose is none of those things.
His physical appearance is meant to be frightening.
Okay.
So,
and it's German, so it's I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight frightening. So, he is like I said before, he's a half goat, half demon. So he has long pointed horns, often like a goat's horns, often depicted like a goat's horns where they kind of curl behind him.
Yeah.
He has a mangled, deranged face. Always looks so kind.
Okay.
With that's sarcasm. He has a long pointed tongue, sharp teeth, and fangs. His body is covered in coarse, shaggy fur that can be white, black, or reddish-brown. He has claws, like his name implies. He walks on two legs, and he has hooved feet.
Okay.
He's often dressed in chains and bells, and carries a bunch of birch rods or a horsehair whip, alongside with a large sack or basket.
Is he gonna kidnap the children?
Well. First of all, since you don't seem to be as familiar with Krampus as I assumed, I'm going to show you images of him.
Okay.
I have a couple pulled up, but I'm going to pull up a couple more. Also, there was a movie that came out. Did you hear about that?
So,
It's going to be a lot of fun. One sec. I just like I said, I assumed you knew more about it. So now I'm looking at this and being like, they are going to have the time of their life. There's a lot of crying children in these. Okay, and I will put all of these on the Instagram. So here's our first image. This is the tamest of them all.
A creature with brown fur carrying a child in a bucket.
While the other children run away in the background.
Okay.
Then there's this one.
Okay.
The children are in the bucket screaming.
Yeah.
He has his little switch.
And that tongue is worrying me the most.
It's a very long tongue. Goes all the way to his chest.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
Those are 2, and somehow I'm even more concerned about the tongue. Even though they're on a rocking horse. Yeah.
Look at these. Look at how
she's just chilling.
There's one kid who's screaming and getting put in the basket.
And she's like, I don't care about this child next to me.
His sister is saying, well, I just got fruit from St. Nick, so I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly.
Goodbye, brother.
Given the ages, like, yeah, that tracks. I don't know.
And our last one, which I find the most disturbing, they gave him a very human-looking face.
And still the tongue, which makes that even more disconcerting.
Yeah.
That's okay.
These kids do not look concerned enough.
Yes.
Honestly.
Insufficient concern from all of these people. Wait.
This child is chained up, and she's just hanging out.
Yep. Okay, but the chains are also attached to Krampus's hands?
Yes, I will explain that in a bit.
All right.
So, now that you have kind of a idea of what we're working with, right?
Okay.
So, like I said, he's dressed in chains and bells and carries birch rods or a whip and a large sack or basket. So he uses the birch rods to swat naughty children.
Okay.
And for those, that's his punishment. He chases them around and he hits them with sticks. For those particularly evil or unlucky, Krampus puts the children in his basket and he carries them away.
Okay.
So no one knows exactly where these kidnapped children go, but the consensus is either they get eaten by Krampus or he drags them off to literal hell.
Huh.
You can see how this is a method to get children to behave throughout the year.
Yeah.
Because if you're nice, you get dried oranges and fruit. And if you're not nice, you get dragged to literal hell.
Yeah, good grief. Yeah.
Also, this is just a cute little thing that I learned. It's customary to offer Krampus schnapps, which is a strong distilled fruit brandy. Like, you know how people leave stuff for Saint Nick? Yeah. Like, oh my God. You can leave schnapps out for Krampus.
Yeah, okay. So, okay.
It's important. So now that's the basic rules of Krampus.
Okay.
Now I want to note that he is not seen necessarily as an evil creature. He is literally St. Nicholas's counterpart. So it's not that he and St. Nicholas are fighting or anything. St. Nicholas brings him along in order to, instead of getting a lump of coal, you get
dragged off to hell, I guess.
Well, most of the time you just get swatted with some birch rods.
So it's a good consequences, bad consequences kind of thing.
Yes. So he's not necessarily an evil character, and he's kind of just something that goes alongside the season.
Okay.
He never preys on innocent children. Okay. Only on children who are misbehaving and bad. Or acting bad. You know, because there's no such thing as a bad kid, but acting in a way that is undesirable. So it was literally like the boogeyman type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the boogeyman for don't act this way rather than don't go to the spooky forest full of things that will eat you.
Exactly. Okay. So Krampus is just there to dole out the punishments for those kids who deserve said punishments.
Okay.
Now, like I said, he will never prey on innocent kids. That's probably why those kids were in the paintings were just kind of chilling. Because they were like,
this is
I ain't got nothing to worry about.
I've done this week. Okay.
I ain't got nothing to worry about. I got a bowl of fruit. Like, Krampus ain't coming for me. So, even though it started off. So he did start off as really not seen as a necessarily evil thing, more like a necessity. According to legend, Krampus actually originated as the son of Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld.
Okay.
And I think if you look at the son of Hel, there's a lot of similarities with Krampus. So there's theories that that's where he originated.
All right.
But that was the pre-Christian version. And obviously there have been Christian influences.
Yeah.
Because, of course, there's Christian influences in everything. So now I can't guarantee that he didn't already look like that, but he definitely evokes the image of the devil.
Yeah.
Now in the post-Christian world. And so you mentioned the chains.
Okay.
The chains are not part of his original design.
Okay.
It's not part of the pre-Christian design. They appeared once there was a Christianization of Krampus. So, fun fact, early Christians tried to stamp out Krampus as a pagan tradition, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But then I think it only stayed stamped out for either 4 months or 4 years. Either way, it was a very short time. And people still spoke about it and celebrated it just in secret.
Yeah.
And eventually it was just kind of okay, fine, we can talk about this in public again. But there were some changes that came along with that, including the chains. Okay. So there's the theory is that since now it's post-Christian, he's more associated with the devil and, all that evil, dragging them to hell kind of stuff.
Okay. Not his mom, presumably.
Yeah, not his mom.
Yeah.
So being associated with the devil means that he loses his agency. So now instead of being like a companion to St. Nicholas, he's more like a slave or a servant. And St. Nicholas, who is the quote-unquote good one, is dragging him along because... So now it's the chains are there as a symbol of submissiveness.
Okay. Because
you don't want to give the devil or a devil-adjacent being the same respect and agency that you would give a saint.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why the chains are there. They were not originally there. So then in this modern version, Krampus is more like a servant of this and he's doing these evil deeds as that wasn't his original intent.
Okay.
Krampus is still a figure that is seen, a popular figure in Germany, Austria, and those Alpine cultures, as well as in America. I'm sure you might have heard about it, obviously. So there's traditional parades and also something called the Krampus Run, which is Krampuslauf.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
Neither of us studied German.
But basically, during the Krampus Run, it's like a parade, or sometimes they have it during parades, where young men usually, will dress up as Krampus, and they'll attempt to scare the audience of the parade. So they'll go around
Are they in the middle of the parade route and then going up to the sides, or are they emerging from the crowd and then joining the parade?
I'm sure it's different in either way. Both of those contexts sound cool. Yeah. I was thinking more the first one.
Okay.
Where they're part of it and they're scaring people. Yeah. But then I like the idea of the second one where it's now we emerge from the crowd. Yeah. Like the devils that we are.
Yeah.
That sounds dope as hell. But yeah, so in places that have more Germanic populations in America, you might see Krampus also. Okay,
so that unlocked a memory that is sort of adjacent. But, okay. So last year...
Oh, there's one in LA.
Ah, cool. But last year, my nephew was 2 years old, right? And we had family in town for the holidays, and we hadn't actually gone downtown to DC to the official Christmas tree. And families in town, my brother and sister-in-law and the kids all came up. There were people there who were dressed up, just to have fun with it. And a surprising number of people who were dressed up as Yetis, like with wearing a Santa suit and like a furry mask situation. And
they might have been Krampus-y.
Yeah. Yeah, they were very much, it was very much more in like an anime movie Yeti, rather than anything meant to be horrific, right?
Yeah, okay.
But my nephew, again, 2 at the time, gets ahead a little bit and like starts waving at them because, you know, he's 2, he's adorable. And one of them hands him a little rubber duck. And apparently for the next 6 weeks, that was his hyper focus. Is Yetis
the rubber duck?
Yetis and rubber ducks. Like he was talking about it all the time.
He gave him his first hyper focus. How cute. His first hyper fixation. Yeah. That's adorable. That's basically Krampus, but that would be a very short episode.
Yeah.
So, thankfully for us, there's a lot of related figures that are similar to Krampus that came up on the Wikipedia page.
Okay.
So, I am not going to go over all these figures because that would be way too long. If you have the time and the desire, you can go on the wiki and you can click through all of these folkloric creatures. However, we are just going to cover a handful.
Okay.
So, right off the bat, the first 2 figures that they said were related to Krampus, and when I say related, I mean they are other countries or cultures equivalent or similar enough to
it's the end of the gift giving year, and if you're bad, these are your negative consequences. Instead of getting a gift, you're getting this person.
Yeah.
Or entity. Okay.
So, right off the bat, on related figures, we have a couple that I have already talked about in our Wild Hunt episode.
Oh, yeah?
So, we have God, I can't pronounce. Rupert, I don't know how to say it. It's the guy that was St. Nicholas's sidekick in Germany.
Okay.
He first appeared in written sources in the 17th century and described as wearing a black or brown robe with a pointed hood, sometimes walking with a limp, carrying a long staff and a bag of ashes, and occasionally wearing little bells on his clothes. Similarity to Krampus. Sometimes he rides on a white horse, which is why he was part of the Wild Hunt, and sometimes he's accompanied by fairies. So, he is basically, his similarities with Krampus is that he is another, I guess, attendant to St. Nicholas, and he assists him in doling out his punishments or his rewards. Because in some cultures, St. Nicholas does hand out his own punishments, like the lump of coal thing, right?
Yeah.
Another figure is Berchta, who we talked about in the Wild Hunt episode. She was the upholder of cultural taboos in Bavarian Austrian culture. Said to roam the countryside at midwinter and to enter homes during the 12 days of Christmas, especially 12th night. And she was the one that if the children and young servants of the household had behaved well and worked hard, she would reward them with a silver coin. But if they hadn't, she would slit their bellies open, remove their stomach and guts, and stuff the hole with straw. Remember her? Yeah, what a lovely old woman.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Anyway,
if you want to hear more about those figures, you can listen to the Wild Hunt episode. And now these are figures that we have not yet touched on.
All right.
So we have Belsnickel.
Okay.
Belsnickel. Also, I have pictures, so I'll show you after. So, Belsnickel is a crotchety, fur-clad Christmas gift-bringer figure in the folklore of southwestern Germany. He's also preserved in Pennsylvania Dutch communities and Brazilian German communities, which I thought was fun because people going to new countries. Belsnickel may have been based on the Knecht Rupert's character.
Okay.
But he doesn't accompany St. Nicholas. Instead, he visits alone, and he combines both the threatening and the benign aspects, in which other traditions are divided between St. Nicholas. This is what I'm saying. Like, some cultures, they are like two figures. This one, he does both the giving of gifts and the giving of
some cultures,
punishments.
Some cultures have, it depends on how many consequences you want.
Yeah.
And different figures for each. Okay.
So he is a man wearing furs, sometimes with a mask, sometimes with a long tongue.
Okay.
He's typically very ragged and disheveled. He wears torn, tattered, and dirty clothes, and he carries a switch in his hand.
Okay.
And he uses that switch to beat naughty children. But he also has pockets full of cakes, candies, and nuts for good children.
Okay.
So here, let me show you a picture of him. It's a man in a raggedy coat with a whip. And
he's given a little bit of Hagrid energy.
Yeah, he is. He is giving a little bit of Hagrid energy. This is actually interesting. So it says there's a first-hand 19th century account of the Beltznickel tradition in Allegheny County, Maryland. So this was actually found in a collection of essays by Jacob Brown, who was born in 1824. He was writing of a period of like around 1830 because he was a kid. So Brown says we did not hear of Santa Claus. Instead, they had Beltznickel. So this is a quote. He was known as Christnickel, Beltznickel, and sometimes as the Christmas woman. Children then not only saw the mysterious person, but felt him, or rather his stripes, upon their backs with his switch. The annual visitor would make his appearance some hours after dark, thoroughly disguised, especially the face, which would sometimes be covered with a hideously ugly fez, generally worn a female garb, hence the name Christmas woman. Sometimes it would be a veritable woman, but with a masculine force and action. He or she would be equipped with an ample sack about the shoulders filled with cakes, nuts, and fruits, and a long hazel switch which was supposed to have some kind of charm in it as well as a sting. One hand would scatter the goodies upon the floor, and then the scramble would begin by the delighted children, and the other hand would ply the switch upon the backs of the excited youngsters, who would not show a wince, but had it been parental discipline, there would have been screams to reach a long distance. End quote.
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, imagine growing up in America, and instead of hearing about St. Nicholas, hearing about Santa, you hear about, there's this guy, or this figure, I guess. It's like this figure that doesn't even have a gender. It's just an entity that comes and gives you, like, treats, but also whips you if you're bad. So that was a Beltznickel. So, in Polish folklore, we have the Turon. I know that I'm pronouncing that incorrectly because there's a accent on the N, and I don't know how to pronounce that. Because the only N accent I know how to pronounce is the Anya, but that's not that. So, the Turon is a festive monstrosity in the form of a black, horned, and shaggy animal with a flopping jaw.
Okay.
So, generally, there's a person who plays the Turon. He covers himself, or covered. I'm sure this is still a Polish tradition. If you're from Poland, or if you are in a Polish family, let me know if you guys still do this.
DrearyMidnightPodcast@gmail.com.
So, the person that plays the Turon covers himself with a cloth sheet or sheepskin, holding a wooden pole in front of him, topped with a bull's head with a flopping jaw, horns, sometimes real ones, sometimes wooden ones, and the head covered with a rabbit skin or some other animal skin. So it's basically like a puppeteering kind of situation. I have a picture as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like, it looks like an animal head come to life, basically.
Okay.
The Turon walks hunched over, or is led on a rope, and I guess there's a group of carolers. It's a caroler group that is leading the Turon, and whenever the caroler group enters a house, the Turon jumps around, dancing and neighing like a donkey. Okay. It's especially fond of playing tricks on women whom he chases around the house, provokes, and sometimes hits with the jaw mechanic.
Okay.
During the carol singing, the Turon claps his jaws to the rhythm of the song and rings the bell on his neck. And whenever the Turon becomes unbearable for the household and his family, the householder and his family, they sing a song to banish it.
Okay.
Which loosely translates as, go now, Turin, go home. Don't you bother any more souls. Here is not a place you live. This is not the place you shall sleep.
Okay.
Yeah. And after the song, the householder gives the carolers a get out of here ransom.
Okay.
In the form of money and a gift from the pantry. And then the carolers thank them for the treats and they go to the next house.
Okay. So it's like trick-or-treating except at Christmas.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like trick-or-treating meets caroling. And because it's like a exchange of gifts.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a fun and weird tradition.
Yeah.
So, good on you, Poland.
All right.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Then there is the Dead Moros. See, I put everything either with an English accent or Spanish accent because I don't know how to speak any language other than those. But this is a Russian figure.
Okay.
So, he is similar to St. Nicholas. And the literal translation of Dead Moroz is Grandfather Frost. So, in East Slavic cultures, he's accompanied by a snow maiden who is his granddaughter and helper. I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not even going to try. She wears a long silver blue robe and a furry cap or snowflake-like crown. He predates Christianity as a Slavic wizard of winter.
Is Kosher the Deathless? Or adjacent to Kosher the Deathless?
It's like Snegra... Sriracha.
I want to do an entire episode on Kosher the Deathless at some point, but... Because Kosher the Deathless is wild.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a tangent for another day.
So, Dead Moroz predates Christianity as a Slavic wizard of winter. And according to some sources, Dead Moroz began as a snow demon.
Oh.
However... This was before the Christianity of, like, the term demon. Like, this is before the Christianity aspect when the term demon didn't have a negative connotation.
Oh, it's more in the Greek daimon spirit situation.
So, similarly to Krampus in that there was a pre-Christian and post-Christian version of these figures.
Okay.
I don't have that much on him, but I just want to shout out the Russian version.
Okay.
Because once again, he seems to be kind of like a St. Nicholas type figure where he does the things by himself.
Okay.
And he has a companion, except this time the companion is a woman.
Okay.
There is also a creature in the Japanese folklore. This is the Namahage.
Okay.
So the Namahage are demon-like beings, similar to the Krampus run. And similar to the Turon, you dress up as them.
Okay.
So, the Namahage are demon-like beings portrayed by men wearing oni masks, big oni masks, and traditional straw capes during a New Year's festival. So, these frightfully dressed men are impersonating oni demons, and they're armed with the deba knives. Although they're usually fakes.
Okay.
They're not actual real knives that they're running around with. And toting a teoke, which is a hand pail made of wood. They march in pairs or in threes, and they go door to door making rounds to people's houses, admonishing children who may be guilty of laziness or bad behavior, yelling phrases like, "Are there any crybabies around?" or "Are there naughty kids around?" Which I think is so funny because let me show you an image of these guys. So imagine being a child. You hear a bang on your door, and then these guys come in.
Oh my god!
And they're like, "Are you being a crybaby this year?"
I feel like I would cry just from seeing that.
So, yeah. So that is the Namahage, which sounds really funny and dope, to be honest. Because they have these like huge oni masks and they're like demon-y and they're like painted red and just really cool.
Yeah.
I love Japanese aesthetic is like traditional Japanese aesthetic is so cool sometimes.
Yeah. Asian folklore in general is just like such a different beast.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. So that's the Japanese equivalent. Now we have, Jesus Christ, why did I pick all these creatures that I can't pronounce their names? This is the Greek version.
Okay, let me see. Kalikantsaros.
Kalikantsaros?
Yeah. Kalikantsaros. Kalikantsaros.
Kalikantsaros.
Yeah.
Kalikantsaros. Which sounds like I'm speaking Spanish. Kalikantsaros. But that's the only way I know how to pronounce things.
Okay.
So, they are a malevolent creature in Greek folklore. Stories about the Kalikantsaros or its equivalents can typically be found in Greece, Bulgaria, Turkey, Serbia, Albania, Bosnia, and Cyprus. They're believed to dwell underground, but come to the surface during the 12 days of Christmas, aka from the winter solstice for a fortnight, during which the time ceases its seasonal movement. So they believe that the sun stopped during the 12 nights of Christmas. 12 days of Christmas. So, they stay underground, sawing the trunk of the tree that holds the earth so that it will collapse along with the earth. So they're malevolent and they're trying to destroy the earth, right? When the final part of the trunk is about to be sawed, Christmas dawns, and the Kalikantsaros are able to come to the surface. They forget about the tree and they come to bring trouble to the mortals. And on the Epiphany, which is the 6th of January, the sun starts moving again and they must return underground to continue their sawing. So, during their absence from their tree sawing, the tree has healed itself and then they got to start working again and all over again, and it's an annual thing. So that's basically the legend of them. They're underneath the ground, they're sawing, and then suddenly it's Christmas, and then they come up, make mischief, and then, oh no, the tree healed itself, we got to saw again. So, there's no standard description for the appearance of Kalikantsaros. There are regional variations as to how their appearance is described, but the most common belief is that they are small black creatures in humanoid form, apart from long black tails, and they're said to resemble little black devils. So let me show you a picture. Here he is.
Well, shit.
Yeah, they're creepy little guys. They're like they're basically the equivalent of Greek goblins, you know, type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the reason I was looking at a bunch of stuff while you're talking is a lot of Greek words are just like, it's like German where
it means the literal thing.
Well, not necessarily literal thing, but like sometimes there are really long words where it's like sometimes there are words that are basically just 7 words smushed together. And I was trying to refresh myself on what Kantsaros was. I can't find Kantsaros. Admittedly, I'm looking in the Greek New Testament in Xenophon's Anabasis, so, you know. But everything I'm seeing for Kalos or Kali is, like, beautiful, pretty, very well.
Oh, well, that's not accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not pretty, not beautiful, not very well.
Yeah. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong roots. Let me know. DrearyMidnightPodcast@gmail.com. Anyway.
So yeah, they're little small humanoid-esque little goblin creatures. And they're also mostly blind, speak with a lisp, and love to eat frogs, worms, and other small creatures, apparently.
Okay.
I have more about them, though.
Okay.
They are creatures of the night.
Okay.
And according to folklore, there are many ways people could protect themselves during the days when they were loose. So one method is to leave a colander on the doorstep to trick the visiting Kalikantsaros. It was believed that since it could not count above 2, since 3 was a holy number, it couldn't, if it pronounced it, it would kill itself. The Kalikantsaros would sit at the doorstep all night, counting each hole of the colander until the sun arose and it was forced to hide.
Oh.
Similar to the whole, with the vampire, you put the, what's it, the rocks out or something
Oh,
that
yeah.
they have to count?
Um,
The beans?
yeah, beans
Yeah.
or lots of tiny things. Yeah.
So, another supposed method of protection was to leave the fire burning in the fireplace all night so that they could not enter through it.
Okay.
And in some areas, people would throw foul-smelling shoes into the fires, as the stench was believed to repel the Kalikanzaro.
Okay.
Kalikanzaroi. Yeah.
Party cansado. Oi. So
I guess that's the...
the plural,
Plural.
the nominative plural is usually omega iota or omicron iota, so it's literally oi.
Ah.
Yeah.
Additional ways to keep them away include marking one's doors with a cross, a black cross on Christmas Eve, and burning incense. And this is so funny to me because James was born January 5th, so he
Okay.
was born in the 12 days of Christmas.
Okay.
And according to legend, any child born during the 12 days of Christmas is in danger of transforming into a Kalikanzaro during each Christmas season. But you can make sure it doesn't happen because the antidote to prevent this transformation is to bind the baby in tresses of garlic or straw or to singe the child's toenails.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a repeated thing that they do it every
like
Christmas.
every year or like however long, yeah.
But I told James that, and he did not seem very pleased about the idea that he would have to
Burn his toes.
burn his toes.
Oh my god. Great.
That's his fault for
Yes.
being born in the 12 days of Christmas.
Good grief.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Now, those are the basic Krampus equivalents.
Okay.
So now I have the 3 little shout outs. So you had texted me that I should talk about La Befana,
Okay.
which is the Italian folklore.
Yeah.
Right. So I looked her up, and she's not necessarily a Krampus equivalent, but she is kind of like a Three Kings equivalent.
Okay.
If
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So she, in Italian folklore, the La Befana is an old woman or witch who delivers gifts to children throughout Italy, similar to Santa Claus or the Three Magi Kings. So in popular folklore, the Befana visits all the children of Italy on the eve of the Feast of the Epiphany to fill their socks with candy and presents if they are good, or a lump of coal or dark candy if they are bad.
Okay.
In many poorer parts of Italy, and particularly rural Sicily, a stick in a stocking was placed instead of coal.
Mm-hmm.
And since she's a good housekeeper, many say that she will sweep the floor before she leaves. And some say that the sweeping of the floor symbolizes the sweeping away of the problems of the year. Child's family typically leaves a small glass of wine and a plate with a few morsels of food for the Befana. And she is usually portrayed as a hag riding a broomstick through the air, wearing a black shawl, and is covered in soot because she enters children's houses through the chimney.
Oh.
She is
All right.
often smiling and carries a bag or hamper filled with candy, gifts, or both.
Cool.
So she's like a Santa Claus type
Yeah.
equivalent.
More
Which,
Santa adjacent than Krampus adjacent.
yeah, which I thought was really cool. But she also has the hints of the 3 wise men with
yeah.
leaving the socks, like
leave
leaving
your footwear out.
Yeah. There's also like legends that kind of put her to Jesus, but that's I don't know. I mean, there's
I don't know.
I'm not gonna go into the whole like Christian aspect.
Yeah.
So there were a couple more that I thought you would think were interesting
Okay.
that were in the page of being related to Krampus. The first being the Wendigo. Now, I say
Okay.
related in that obviously it's not Krampus, but similarities as in different cultures and
So we did an episode on the Wendigo
You
about a
did.
year ago.
with Devin.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just not seeing how it's close.
I know. This is very loosely related.
Yeah.
But basically, it's because it's an evil winter spirit.
Okay.
This is un-American. This is This is from the Plains and the Great Lakes natives, as well as some First Nations.
But it's basically this spirit of starvation of body and soul, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only similarities that I can think of is that it is a evil spirit type that comes out in winter, and it's like has humanoid characteristics. But other than that, obviously it is a way darker way darker than Krampus. But I just wanted to shout that out because I knew you did an episode on it. And then another related figure is the Goat Man, which makes sense. According to urban legend, it's a creature resembling a goat-human hybrid, often credited with canine deaths and purported to take refuge in the woods of Prince George's County in Maryland.
Oh, so kind of near us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We should do an episode on that.
Yeah. Or Buddy Man Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We could do, honestly, we could easily do a Goatman episode where we actually go to...
Goatman Bridge.
Yeah.
Halloween special 2024.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
So, and those are basically, like, all the Krampus and Krampus-related and similar culture sphere.
Yeah.
Of...
All right.
Christmastide.
Hooray!
Yeah.
So if you made it to listening to this episode live on the day it drops, glad you survived Christmas, because this is dropping the 26th. We're batch recording because we also want to, like, spend time with
our families and stuff.
But
celebrate our own Christmases.
If you want to help finance Christmas 2024 for our families, or if you enjoyed us at all this year, absolute best way to support us, patreon.com/drearymidnight. And because this is also the last episode of the year.
Yeah.
So we'll see you in 2024.
Oh my God. Hey, I survived a year of this podcast.
Yay! Full calendar year. All right. So patreon.com/drearymidnight is the absolute best way to support us. So, very close second is rate, review, subscribe anywhere on the internet. It really does help us with the algorithm. And if you have ideas, questions, comments, Frodo's stories, fears, hopes, dreams, email us in drearymidnightpodcast@gmail.com. And all of our music is licensed through Epidemic Sound. I will leave a link and whichever songs we used in the description of this episode. I should be saying it more out loud, but
it's okay,
and with all that said,
the 12 nights of Christmas are not over by the time this recording comes out.
Yes, we'll be on night 2.
So you should still make sure that you're behaving.
Yes.
Like some of these creatures, they're still around.
Yeah, they're still around. They're not going to play. Keep your colanders handy. And safe travels home on this dreary midnight. Good night.
Good night.
Jimmy's gonna be so mad.
Well, we gave him plenty opportunities to come on the show, and he's just too busy for us, apparently.
Damn it, Jimmy.
We should be the #1 priority in everyone's lives.
Especially Jimmy's.
Who cares about the holiday season?
Anyway.